Hello everyone, 76 Patriot here, and today I'm going to be briefly discussing this new poll out of Iowa that everyone's been talking about. So I think this is important to look at. In this new poll, Trump has a massive lead over Biden. And actually, before I break down this article and some of this really important news, I think I should give just a little bit of background on what the current polling is for Iowa. So Real Clear Average has Trump up by just over 11. That would be an increase from his past two elections, but not entirely surprising due to how well he's doing with white working class voters. If we look, he won Iowa back by just over 8 in 2020 and over 9 in 2016. So I would not be surprised if he did a couple points better. This poll, though, everybody's talking about, has Trump up by 18 points. Now, that is a significant margin. I mean, Iowa used to be a battleground state back when the electoral map was much wider as far as toss-up states, way more than just the 6 states we're used to now. That has changed during the Trump era. Still, 18 points is, a hefty victory, and I kind of did some eyebrow raising when I first saw this headline. However, the pollster, they're doing it for the Des Moines Register, is regarded and considered to be basically the most accurate pollster in the state of Iowa for at least the past several cycles and perhaps longer. I mean, heck, even Liberal 538 considers them to be, I forget exactly what they say, but like the gold standard for Iowa politics and polling or something like that. So that, in my opinion, right there lends a little bit more credibility to the fact, hey, this may not be a fluke. This may not be just one of these random kind of outlier polls we should not be heeding. And so back to this article. In this poll, released by the Des Moines Register, Trump leads 50-32 among likely Iowa voters. This is the important part, or interesting part, I should say. Kennedy is pulling 9% of the vote share in this poll. And one little caveat I have to mention is independent candidates they often poll higher than what they actually receive in the actual election. We'll see if that actually happens, but if he's taking 9%, that is huge. And that's partly why it's eating into Biden's margin right there, most likely. So 50-32, it's a crushing margin in the former battleground state. And look at it, dismal. President has Biden 28% approval rating. That is insane in what used to be a close state. So basically, the question though is, I don't think anybody, even the most liberal, progressive people, are doubting that Trump will win Iowa. It's just by how much. The real question is, will this affect is this trend more indicative of what's happening in other Midwestern and Rust Belt states? Because there are common trends that happen. Say Iowa votes either less, I don't think it's going to, but theoretically, less for or more for Trump. Other Midwestern states will probably do that in tandem. Let's just look, for example, back at the midterms. Now, as we all know, midterms aren't predictive, of course, of general elections, but just to give you probably one of the best images we've seen of this trend recently. So, 2022, as we all know, was kind of a mixed bag for Republicans. Republicans underperformed a lot more than expected, even though there were still some victories here and there. Iowa, Grassley had his lowest Senate race of all time. Massively underperformed. Vance also underperformed. Ron Johnson also underperformed. Oz straight up lost by a hefty margin, 5 points. And then, but in a lot of these southern states, Republicans did just fine, either increasing from their past margins or staying the same. And this was a trend in the Rust Belt and in these Midwestern states. Same thing with 2020. Similar. Not quite the same, but Iowa and Ohio voted, almost alongside each other. So this is something that the real question is bigger than Iowa. The real question, I hear a lot of people saying, if Trump is winning Iowa by 18 points, does that, is that a sign that he's going to win Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Minnesota? Is that on the edge of the even electoral, toss-up states? Because it's possible if he's winning Iowa by 18. You know, I just can't personally, based on just trends, precedent, whatever. I cannot see a scenario in which Trump is winning Iowa by this much, close to 20 points. I mean, heck, if he even won it by 15 points, I couldn't see a scenario in which that happened, but he didn't win Wisconsin, or he didn't win Pennsylvania, or even Michigan, even though that's the most democratic of the kind of big three Rust Belt trio. Heck, even Minnesota, I think, could be within a point or two, really for either party at this point. So that's basically the big news. I just thought it was newsworthy and important that I kind of share my thoughts and break some of this down for you guys today. So that's basically it for this video. So it's basically more, good news for us, good news for Trump. As long as we don't become complacent, I think this is a good sign of maybe a larger trend in the Midwest. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.